our children. And we can't
social contract. It's as a result of this breach of the social contract, this to execute on that day. And when you look at to execute on that day, and when you look at the event of the event indicated that the presidency as an undesired character and as a unit of tormentation
a person to the office of the presidency, no matter how you had the person himself. It could be that the president has merely consolidated and extended pre-existing trends that has always been there. Maybe this is the height, the zenith, and the epitome of the rot that has been going on in the country since the independence. And that's why we're here. It's time for molting and time for, plucking these feathers that we think, they're not making us fly high as eagles as we should. And so to the greatest capacity that we should be having, exhibiting as a country in terms of prosperity in all angles that we could actually be talking about this evening. So let's just interrogate this issue. And I want just to yield the floor to Honorable Wilson Sosion and Honorable Peter Kaluma on this. to just update it. Let's just begin with the Honorable Sosion. We got 3 minutes. Kalim, remember to unmute.
It is, thank you, Dibal, and I think it is good we become fair to all those who are on the platform. When we give long lectures, this is not a lecture session, but very brief intervention session. And I think you've chosen a fitting topic, malting of Kenya malting, and we have to malt and malt. Yeah, those of us who have done science of animals, molting. And when you molt, you become anew. And Kenya is one democracy that has really evolved and made several democratic strides compared to many jurisdictions in Africa and in the world. And truly, we are a democratic country. And I think Degwa, Professor, and the Rasdas and the ILK should be able to see what happened when some Kenyan activists went to Dar es Salaam, the kind of reaction they faced there, and what they've been facing in Uganda. But when they're at home here, they're never tight. That tells you that the democratic atmosphere that exists in the country is good enough. That is why you can say things about the president, you can draw anything, memes about the president, but nobody bothers very much. But I want to say that Kenya has positively molded uh, through the president's agenda of, I think this is the first president to be elected on the basis of a clear manifesto with clear pillars that are measurable with indicators and operating under a political this country, Raila Odinga, and it's about the president and Raila Odinga looking very strongly about urgently transforming the country economically and in many aspects while preserving the gains of democracy and human rights. I think that is a step in the right direction. Those who think you can you can gain power in 2027 by trying to demonize the government at every opportunity and at every step and promoting political conflicts. I am sure they are in for a rude shock, because I think the country where we are at the moment, when you talk of youth unemployment, it is a serious social challenge that all of us must apply our minds so that the country can move towards creating opportunities and employment for the youth. We cannot talk of democracy without employment. We cannot talk about democracy without Kenyans accessing universal quality healthcare, which this government is pushing, and it is working more than any other government that has struggled to ensure that we have a healthcare system that is working. I think this government has done it fairly well. And looking across pillars, even delivery within space of education. I think right now, at the moment, let us focus on what is right. When exclusion as a practice that has been executed by past administrations, and this fifth administration is fighting exclusion and has embraced inclusion, and we have all parts of the country properly included. I think it is something to celebrate. It is one other key indicator of molting positively. I think it is good for us to learn to be optimists rather than pessimists, even where there is no room for pessimism and where pessimism cannot sit nor land. So I think let's allow government to work. Let's allow our president to do his work for the 5 years in which you are elected. If you want to do political organizing, do it in a manner that does not hurt the interests and rights of others, as provided by the Constitution. And coming to the events that are coming in the course of the week, in the coming week, how I wish that all political activities, actions, and organizing are done peacefully, and they are done in a manner that has an objective that is admirable and that which unites the country, but not objectives of hatred, objectives of thinking of bringing down an administration that is in place. It is not going to work that way. It's not going to be easy. I think it has reached a time we begin reasoning as Kenyans, and Ndegwa and group and professor, those who think you can be so negative and demonize an administration for no apparent reason, I don't think such will have basis. We
But
should be able to align ourselves within the framework of Vision 2030, the political pillar that envisages that politics of this country should be sanitized and it should be exclusively issue-based, not personalized, not attacking legitimate leaders in place. When we begin demonizing the president and the president in all manner of things around the country and calling names, I don't think that is statehood. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. It is the wrong thing to do. Let us have a country that has got sound political morals, sound desires to unite the country, and we do things which are right. Wrong things will always remain wrong. Right things will always remain right. I've operated in the space of social justice for a long time. And I think it is not anything that is good to try and disorganize
Thank you.
administration and those that are in place, thinking that by doing so, you will create opportunities for you to get power in the next round. That is not right. Let us, as we mold, let us do decent politics as envisioned, as envisaged in Vision 2030.
Thank you.
That our politics should be issue-based. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilson Sosion, for those sentiments. It should be issue-based. Let me just cross over to Honorable Peter Kaluma, just to also give your comments. Last week, there are a lot of questions that were raised. I think Ndengwa also wanted to know who are these three civilians that you were talking about. Has it turned out to be the truth? The investigations, we're still eagerly waiting to hear from IPOA. You're very, confident that whatever you know, we have no sorting idea because you're privy to information that we cannot access as Kenyans, as you put it last week. So with the latest state of play, what is the current information that you do have? And, Professor Ogola has been challenged by Dr. Duncan Ojwang regarding who is the spokesperson of the family. So you also give us, because this is from your county, Homa Bay. Do you have any information?
Yeah, Dibal, thank you very much. Good evening, listeners and fellow panelists. We meet again to discuss a very important national issue. Maybe to start from where you have ended, Dibal, Teacher Alfred Ojwang will be buried on 4th of July at their home in Homa Bay, in Kasipul constituency. We want everybody who wants to come and mourn the late Ojwang to come and do so, but we'll have difficulties with people who only see an opportunity for politics in that sad event. We would request that such people come out. We want, when he comes into Homa Bay by 3rd, we give him the respect that we've given our sons who have, died in that tragedy. So if there are opportunism, and you've noted a lot, for the first time, you get people competing to open pay bill numbers, and then they are fighting on who is the legitimate, collector of funds. If you've collected any money, give to the father of Ojwang. Let us not use the death of Ojwang for personal aggrandizement or for those other, extraneous reasons. It is an unfortunate thing. Let us allow that family to mourn. And let me thank everybody who has supported the family to date, including the president. The country has molted. I've been in Kenya through the leadership of President Daniel Arap Moi. I've been in Kenya through the leadership of Kibaki from the time of campaigns to date. I was among the young people who carried Kibaki into the plane when he was going to Wellington Hospital in London. I was among the young people who ran with Kibaki from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport straight to Uhuru Park. And I think I was among the guys who misbehaved upon his taking over. So I've seen the country through that period. I became a member of parliament when President Uhuru Kenyatta first became president in 2013, and I remained a state officer throughout his term. I've been lucky, with the favor of my people, to sit through President Ruto's, reign up to the time we even signed MOU. And so I have an encyclopedia of what has been happening. I can therefore confidently say that the country indeed is not molting, but has molted. We just have a bit of resistances, here and there. Let me emphasize about 3-4 things very quickly within the time you've given. Number one, it does appear to me, Dibal, that we gave ourselves a very good constitution in the year 2010, but as it was said, some people didn't read it, and others have not even bothered to read it to date. And so, Dibal, you find people easily, blaming a state officer like the president for mistakes, offenses, or wrongs committed by an independent agency like the police. And these are the people who passed the constitution, and these are the people who know that constitution say the president is the commander-in-chief of the defense forces, and that the National Police Service is under the independent command of the Inspector General, not the president. And so when you hear people taking even animosity around police misbehavior to the president, you see people who do not just understand their institutions, but also, their roles proper. What has happened under President Ruto, and this I can confidently say, is that there is more vigilance by the people, there is more accountability. You saw Boniface Mwangi Karaoke being shot, and the police officers involved are already facing justice before our courts. You saw Juang being murdered. And remember, I was saying here last time, the circumstances of murder, there was a lot of noise. It is now confirmed, and I know there would be a bit of weight to what I say. And in no minute, we now have everybody who was involved in some way being subjected to the law, because Kenya is truly a rule of law country. You saw Were Ongondo, and within a week or two, the murderers were there. You cannot say that was the situation before this broad-based government came into place. You remember the deaths, Dibal, in 2023, between June, July. You still can't put your hands on the people, for instance, who are shooting at the vehicles of Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. You can't put your hands on those very many people, the police officers who, pulled young men from their houses in Nyalenda, Nyamasaria, in Kisumu on the night of 21st of July 2023. And you remember over 20 young people were shot in very fatal ways, in fact, shot dead. And you remember then the IAG came and told you there were corpses which were borrowed to be paraded. Nobody was shot, yet people were lying there. To date, accountability then you cannot trace. You cannot track the hundreds and thousands of people. And I'm telling you this confidently because I've been in the Security Committee for 13 years, continuous. The hundreds and thousands of people killed under Uhuru 1 and Uhuru 2. You saw the people being tipped into River Yala. You saw those deaths during the order for fresh elections in 2017. And you remember I told you last time here the stations which were being used for those purposes. And yet you can also not compare the deaths under Uhuru to the deaths under the presidents before. I said last time things like abduction started with Kungu Karumba, who was in the independent heroes. So I want to say that we have molted. President Ruto has opened up the country to more accountability. President Ruto has opened up the country to a bit of more equity and inclusivity. I can tell you, Dibal, for the 13 years I've been a member of parliament, not a single inch of tarmac in Homa Bay town. In this term of President Ruto, I'm going to 100 kilometers, as others are also going on wherever they have been going on. People do not know, Adibal, but when President Uhuru was handing over to President Ruto, I remember we met as Azimio, and he was supporting us. And he told us this country was going for elections in a maximum of 6 months. He was saying between 3 and 6 months. And he told us, let me go and hand over. We prepare for elections. We should therefore ask, how has President Ruto managed to keep the country going to date? Dibal, let me say only this.
The final one, is...
Yes, the final one, because it is important. When President Ruto took over, there are those debts the previous government was taking. And that government had a moratorium, so it was not repaying them. Last year alone, this ending financial year, the one ending this June, Dibal, KRA collected 2.4 trillion. This 2.4 trillion, you all know that 1.1 is going towards payment of debt interests, not even the principal. And 1.3 is going to what we call recurrent expenditure, paying civil servants. What remains of the 2.4, it is gone. How does the guy run the country without putting some tax measures and bringing efficiencies in the collection to sustain it? I wanted to say that our economy is now stable. We are now more accountable. We are now more inclusive, unlike, the previous regime where, for instance, 1,500 kilometers of roads are contracted before a president hands over, and people tell you they must be completed before any new project can be started. We are completing those ones as we also open up areas. So I wanted to say that we are in the right trajectory. Let us enjoy the Bill of Rights, the human rights and fundamental freedoms we have, and seek to ensure that we do so in a law and order system. Because I think the problem in Kenya today is that we've made activism an enterprise to which we throw people's children without an end in goal, and sit back, taking donor funding and other support, like what is being intended for Wednesday. Totally unnecessary. We have institutions we created under the Constitution. Let us petition them. It is not only demonstration that article speaks to. It speaks to the right to protest for rights, the right to demonstrate, and the right to petition institutions. Some of these things we call ourselves to the road over are things we can petition institutions, and holding them to account, wait for them to deliver instead of just, preaching anarchy and chaos across the country. And let me ask our churches to be the guide of the nation, not the platforms where we incite, anarchy and chaos. let them get back their salt and we guide the nation together. Otherwise, I'm confident we are in the right trajectory, and the politics of 2027 will decide themselves. But I think we need to reduce it and allow the constitution we gave ourselves to work. I thank you, Dibal.
Right. I think many will inclined to wonder when you speak about the Bill of Rights and what we have as a reality on the ground, this country regard for the wishes of its citizens, that many will express, many will really, be rolling their eyes in this particular space when you speak of that as well. And we want to just hear from you. But let me hear from Nerima Wako, even as you just heard from Sosion, you heard from Fred Ogola. Jennifer Shamala also will give us a bigger perspective of this when it comes to the geopolitics of it. We want to see, do we have any other clammy fingers that are actually manipulating, our state somehow, so to speak, when you talk about the geopolitics, what are the dynamics around it as well? But Nerima, you've heard from our speakers panel, and of course, we know 25th is a big day, as I've indicated. Do we have the Gen Z? Have they become a political bugaboo, so to speak? You can tell us.
Yeah, sure. So I've been listening to the speakers and I'm wondering if I'm just too tired, that I'm not understanding if we are living in the same country. Because even to talk about activists bringing about anarchy, while on Tuesday we clearly watched the country going the wrong direction when we watched a young man being shot at the back of his head, while he was working. And we have watched police protect goons, and we want to talk about anarchy coming from activists. Yet, we know that politicians are involved in sending those goons downtown, and there's absolutely no questioning of the people involved. And we're seeing members who are current members threatening the public on their social media platforms and nothing. If anyone is driving us to anarchy, it's people who are in leadership now. And it's shocking to me that no one has been questioned, including even the governor of this county, in terms of what happened on Tuesday. What happened? There's literally a man fighting for his life at KNH as we speak, who left for work. If anything, the thing that drives me is that young people are passionate about building this country, but this country makes it very hard for young people. This country doesn't love its young people. If anything, they find countries to send them to. And we're talking about a country that has a constitution where it's supposed to be devolved. I don't need to have a president visit or sit in power for me to receive resources in my county. I thought that was the whole point of the federal system being removed. But now, here we are talking about, it's fantastic who is sitting in power, who is sitting in State House, because we're receiving development. This is not the future that we want. And even as we speak about Ojwang, what did Ojwang do? What did he post? So when someone is talking about corruption and they're seeing that things are being mismanaged, and we're talking about using the institutions people have been doing, they go, they report, but it's the same police who are coming and attacking you.
And what does it matter, what he posted?
It was about corruption. That's why it matters. It seems in this country, when you post about hate, you can get away with it. When you post about killing people, you get away with it. You post about rape, you get away with it. Post about corruption and you die. In fact, they come to your house and pick you and you die. This is what's wrong with this country. And there are young people who don't want to live in this sort of country. That's the problem. So even it has completely angered me, Debal. I've forgotten even what you've asked me. So do I believe that there's a community like this who thinks, breathes, feels this way? Yes. Do I believe that there's a community that feels we deserve better? Yes. Do I believe that there's a community of Kenyan people who think our politicians are not making the right decisions all the time? Yes. Are they tired of it? Yes. So that's where we are. And we don't have to call them Gen Zs. Those are the Kenyan people. What they are doing is listening to our national anthem. And it tells us to defend our land. We're defending our land. That is all we are doing. We sing this every day, every Friday when we wear our flag. That's why our flag is so important. We are defending our land.
Thank you, Nerima. Yeah, I know you are speaking from a point of frustration and anger. It can be sometimes of, a very frustrating even to just clearly, put out. But I can feel the frustrations. It's very palpable, and it's speaking for a lot of Gen Zs as well. And this is why we're in this forum, to just know it. But now we're approaching to June 25th, and already as indicated, we have bugbears and fears. What does it really portend in terms of security of his nation? We know, I'm just looking at, some of the publications that are here, they're telling us that close to 3 billion shillings is lost daily in protests as huge demos are planned. So 3 billion shillings, that is out of our GDP, so to speak. We have June 25th already. Our children maybe will not go to school because everyone will be watching clearly to see what will be happening. We'll have shops will not be opened. Services may be interrupted as well. We want just to see what is the import of this June 25th and what is the intention at the end of the day. We've seen Occupy State House has been the mantra moving forward. I want to hear from Jennifer Shamala and Lydia Mateo. Also, I'll give you an opportunity. I know we have Dr. Orunga Smiu and also Dr. Charles. I think we've been trying to, he's lost in the shuffle here. I don't know where he is, but I'll try and see if we can also just give him his the mic as well in regard, because I've seen there's a letter here from the parents of the parents of the Gen Z who lost their lives, who, as I mentioned when we were beginning, they've written to the security agencies that they will be, demonstrating that day, in commemoration of their children. I'll be able to read out much, much later. But let me just hear from Jennifer Shamala. When we're talking about the geopolitics, because you mentioning that there is a larger looming clammy fingers that is operative here. What do you exactly mean? That we should not be navel-gazing on just internal politics, but we should also have a broader perspective of where, what are some of the, polarizing forces that we do have as well. I yield the floor to you, Jennifer, briefly. Remember to unmute, Jennifer. Jennifer Shamala, can you hear me?
Aman, can you hear me?
Perfectly, perfectly.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed with this continent of Africa. I'm heartbroken that a continent that thinks Kenya is the superpower, yes? That I think the people like Honorable Kaluma only believe that we are the anchor state. Now let me explain to you what geopolitics is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Geopolitics is the anchor states of Africa: Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa. They think everything revolves around us. They don't understand nothing. We're in a very serious situation. There is a war going on, and our election was determined, and we lost it by Ukraine and Russia. Am I there?
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
Yes, because the people who were supporting Ukraine, Biden government, supported the Ruto government, okay? That's what happened. And today they're with them. And what is going on now is so geopolitical. It is so hard. It is so difficult, yes? They just think Kenya is the center of the world. It is not. What is going on in southern Sudan and in North Sudan with with that Hemediti, I don't know what his name is, yes, taking gold, trading it in Kenya, and sending it to the United Arab Emirates. it's going to be a very serious case. Are you listening to me?
Yes, we are. We are listening to you.
They can only talk about Kenya as if it's a superpower. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what's going on in Ibrahim Traore's country. They have no idea what is going on in Africa. They think we are the center of the world. We are not. Okay? So when they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, they can only think as if Kenya is the geopolitical center of the world. I love my Honorable Kaluma. He's my brother, yeah? They cannot see it outside of here. They cannot understand what is happening. And everything to do with our election in this country when we lost had everything to do with the Ukraine-Russia war. And I will say it, write it on paper. Their best candidate was never going to be Raila Odinga because they were afraid of him, because they thought he was pro-Soviet. But they talk about politics as if it's local, village politics, and it tires me. It exhausts me. They don't know geopolitics. That's the worst thing in this country. When you have to do law as a first degree, you must do it as a second degree. You must study political science and whatever. They can't do anything. They just know procedure. And it sickens me beyond measure. They should go to countries like Pakistan, where my mother comes from. Strong, tough. Law is just a procedural thing. They do not understand political science. They just talk, procedure. They know nothing. Tell me about Russia. Tell me why Traore was in Russia. Okay, they cannot talk. I'm so fed up with them. All these members of parliament, they understand nothing, including Honorable Kaluma.
That would be using a very
Tell him to explain to me if he knows who Putin is. Tell him to explain to me why they are fighting Ukraine. Tell him to explain to me who won the war in the Second World War. Do they know history? Just talking. I'm tired.
Could you make it very limpid for us as well? How does it have a bearing, this geopolitics, to what is currently happening?
Because Kenya is an anchor state. Egypt, please keep quiet, let me talk. Kenya is an anchor state. Egypt is an anchor state. Nigeria is an anchor state. South Africa
Dibala, I think you need to protect us.
Can I continue? Can you please be quiet? Now, what happened in that
Dibala, I think we need to be protected and be addressed with respect.
Finish.
Can I continue?
Please,
now, in the Biden administration with Kamala Harris and everything, and that ambassador, she ran away. Si alitoroka. Alikuwa naitwa nani? Marietta alitoroka. Megan huyu mwingine alitoroka. They were so frightened of Russia. It had nothing to do with Kenya. So they thought we better implant a puppet. And they are the ones who have betrayed Raila Odinga Omolo. I say it loud and right, okay? They betrayed him, right? Uhuru Kenyatta understood it so well. He's a political scientist. He studied, he went to university. And that was the problem, yeah? And there was a war with Russia. Russia and Ukraine had everything to do with it. They were so worried about that. Now, ask them to explain Russia-Ukraine war and the ramifications on Kenya and the anchor states, yeah? So I get tired when we talk about Kenya as if we're the superpower of the world. Biden didn't know anything, and Biden and his ambassador who was here, I don't know what her name was, she went running back to America. Marriott ran away. She's now ambassador in she cannot joke with Pakistan. My mother is a Pakistani, okay? I don't joke about those things. I know geopolitics.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you,
I
Jennifer.
am tired of these people.
Thank you.
They just see Kenya as if it's the center of the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right. I want us to really go off the rails, and we focus also on June 25th. I've been trying to get the security experts as well to just give us an indication of what we do expect. And I'll get to you, Lydia Mathia, momentarily. But I want just to, because there's this letter I promised that I'll read out, and maybe I'll throw this question to Charles, who's the national the Director General of the National Communication Center, trying to retrieve the letter here. And this is Officer Commanding Police Division, that is a Central Police Station. This letter was dated June 13th. It's a notice of peaceful assembly and march to commemorate our children who died in peaceful demonstrations in June 2024. And it says, this is Gillian Munyao, that is Mama Rex Masai, Caroline Mutisia, Mama Erickson Chalo, Jacinta Ocheng, Mama Kennedy Onyango, Phoebe Maina, that is Mama Kelvin Odhiambo Maina, and Joseph Mwadime, brother to Kelvin Mwawasi. On behalf of the families of victims of killings during the 2024 Gen Z protests, hereby wish to notify the police of a peaceful assembly and march to commemorate our children who died as aforementioned. Our children were exercising their constitutional right to protest and deliver petitions to public officers to challenge our poor governance. We would like to notify you that on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, from 10 a.m., we have invited Kenyans to proceed on a peaceful assembly and march together with the mothers, fathers, siblings, relatives, and friends. As we lay flowers in their memory along Kenyatta Avenue, Mama Ngina Street, Moi Avenue, Harambee Avenue, and Parliament Road to deliver a petition to the Office of the President and the Kenyan Parliament to demand justice and compensation for innocent protesters who died, as aforementioned, we also undertake to deliver copies of this intention to the relevant police stations and authorities as our legal duty mandates. The relevant contact person for purposes of this notice is Ms. Danja Maina, who is an advocate, who is reachable on telephone number, which I cannot mention here. And we expect your officers to respect Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya, which provides Article 37, assembly, demonstration, picketing, and petition. Every person has a right, peaceably and unarmed, to assemble, to demonstrate, and picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. And there it's been undersigned by Gillian Munyao, the mother of Mama, that is Mama Rex Masai, Caroline Mutisia, Mama Erickson Chalo, and Jacinta Ocheng, Mama Kennedy Munyango. And this is where I want to yield the mic to you, Dr. Charles Owino. We have this letter because also we've heard from the security officers that there was no letter that was delivered to us. And so we deem this to be, unconstitutional, so to speak, or illegal for that matter. And first of all, is there any rhyme or reason that we should have this particular letter? And now, since they've indicated this, we don't want to maybe get other voices we've read here saying that there was nothing that was delivered to the security officers. Over to you, sir. What is the input of this? And also we shall hear from Dr. Wirunga Simiyu.
Good evening, Dibal. I hope you are listening to me.
Clearly.
And yeah, Paul, I could not, you could not get me. I was able to listen, but you are not able to get me. And I think, don't be surprised on the face I'm using. But it's important that we discuss this important event. First of all, I would like to say that one of the biggest gains that Kenyans achieved in the Constitution 2010 was Article 4 of the Constitution, the Bills of Rights. And we are all aware that Article 37 states clearly that every person has a right to assemble, to demonstrate, to present petitions to authorities peaceably and unarmed. And for that reason, what happens is that all these rights that we gain, these rights have, all the rights have limits. And all the rights come with some responsibilities and moral obligations. And therefore, this is the reason as to why we have the Public Order Act, in the sense that we ought to ensure that as we enjoy our rights and fundamental freedoms, we don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. You are aware that Nairobi is our city. Nairobi is a very important. Much of the economy of the country depends and rotates within Nairobi city. And as we want to demonstrate, we want to have processions, we want to remember our late brothers, it is important that we also don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. Let those who want to open their shops open. Let those who want to go to school go to school. Let those who want to have processions have processions. And that is why I want to particularly thank the organizers that they have followed procedure in the sense that they have notified police. It is not actually asking for permission, but notifying police for the purposes of planning that they shall have their procession, and they have given time, 10 a.m. And therefore, the police have called upon all the 5 families. They are now the ones termed as conveners for the processions that will take place on Wednesday, the 25th. And as conveners, the police will have to plan with them, and I think they have been notified accordingly to go and join the police at Central Police Station, I think tomorrow or on Tuesday, so that they can deliberate and agree the point of assembly, which I think most likely will be along Harithuku Road. And then from the point of assembly, they are going to agree on how they will move, how they'll move through Moi Avenue to Kenyatta Avenue, to Mamangina Street, to Harambe Avenue, to put their petition to the minister, and probably to Parliament, where they are supposed also to light candles and also give in their petition. And that would mean that through that planning, if his agreed point of assembly is, let's say, Harithuku, for example, I don't know what they'll agree on, and then they have to move from 10 a.m., the police will have to provide security along those roads, because this is the time that robbers and goons may take advantage, and they may come in very large numbers. You know, the effect of high level unemployment, so many people don't have jobs, and we also have goons and robbers who would want to take advantage. So what would happen is, if it is agreeable, then the procession will start, and they'll move through those streets that have been indicated. And once they have finalized with Parliament or with the Office of the President, then people ought to disperse peaceably and go back to their homes. And that is the purpose of public order, to ensure that those roads are closed for that particular time. They are given opportunity to have procession peacefully and finalized without having any problems. That would mean that any other person who will not be at the assembly, who will not be moving with people on the streets as prescribed, who will maybe on River Road trying to cause chaos, who will be trying to break shops, or those who will be in other parts of town, who will not follow that procession peaceably, then they have to face the full force of the law. The police have a responsibility to protect everyone. So those who want to agitate, they must be given the opportunity to do that, but they must do it peaceably and unarmed. And we must be organized. Somebody had put it, we have a very vibrant constitution. Every 5 years, we go for elections. If you don't like the way the president is governing, you are allowed to come up, say it. You are allowed to agitate. But there's only one way. We cannot promote anarchy in our country. I've always said it clearly that if you feel you want to cause anarchy, then don't disrupt the activities of the day. The police are supposed to just do simple jobs, protect these basic, simple thieves. But police don't deal with rebels. If you're a rebel and you think you can go to the forest and fight for your rights through that, then you meet the military. But for police, it's simple. Just work together with the public. It's a social work. ensure somebody stealing your chicken is arrested and charged, ensure somebody trying to rob is arrested and charged, and they ensure that there's peace provided. So let's avoid situations where we promote conflict, we promote anarchy, we promote situations where sometimes the police have to use their firearms. But equally, it is important to note that these policemen come from our society. And if what happens is that policemen don't take collective responsibility. Policemen are not military. Policemen take individual responsibility. I remember the Chief Justice of this country in 1959, on 22nd February of 1959, he had presided over passing out parade in Kiganja, and he said that unlike army officers, police officers will always find themselves in situations where they have to act on their own without opportunity to refer to their books or their superiors. And therefore, that means that every police officer must always be armed with knowledge. For example, when they're supposed to use force, when they're supposed to use firearms, when are they justified to use, when they're not justified to use. And therefore, if a police officer misuses his firearm, his authority, or even tortures an individual, he takes individual responsibility. And therefore, we don't need to escalate it to the level of the minister, even the inspector general, and more so the president. We don't need to take advantage. What is most important is somebody takes another person's life unlawfully, it doesn't matter who he is, he must be arrested, he must be charged accordingly, in accordance to the law. So I would just want us to promote a situation where, as brothers and sisters of this country, we need to work in harmony, we need to work together, we need to strictly follow the law. And therefore, I want to say that for 25th, I think the police are prepared, and the conveners who are the families are also, I hope they will come and plan with the police on tomorrow or on Tuesday to ensure that they are protected, the procession is peaceful, the exercise is done well, so that we don't get a situation where there is conflict between police and the public and again somebody losing life. I know those who are agitating for power may prefer to have people lose their lives. I heard a certain politician saying that Wednesday will be a holiday. I wonder how would it be a holiday if we don't need to promote anarchy? And I think that is my position, Dabal, unless there's any other further question to that.
Just a moment. Ndego, you had something to say, but before Ndego comes,
Yeah.
what do you have to say briefly? Just, is it for expressed to...
Yes. Well, when I listen to Mr. Wino trying to expound on the notice that was issued, that the notice is only limited to the families of the victim, I only see a man who is carried with the truth, a man who is out to distort the facts, and a man who is out to legislate even when he has no capacity to do so.
Can he do the truth or economical with the truth?
He doesn't know the truth, and he does not associate himself with the truth.
Dibal, let him challenge me. Don't just talk randomly. Challenge me. I have 30 years of service.
We don't mind about your 30 years of service.
No.
We are saying, Dibal,
no, be disciplined. You must be disciplined.
Dibal,
challenge me.
Tell Mr. Owino to hear me in silence. The Public Order Act does not require any person issuing a notice to the police to become part and parcel of the plan. I challenge him to quote either from the police order or the Public Orders Act, which requires that when a notice is issued in REM, remember the notice being issued under Article 37 is a notice to the police to communicate that there shall be picketing, that there shall be demonstration. It does not limit the demonstration to the person who has issued that particular notice.
Who said it limits? Who said it limits? I only said they are the conveners. A convener is the person who has called for that. You are not trained on that. You have very limited knowledge on Public Order Act.
I will not exchange you that charlatan. Let me just keep quiet.
All right. So
yeah, because you are ignorant.
You want to make it limpid for us as well, just as
Dibal, let me explain. The families.
Dibal, would you allow a different person to contribute so that you have other views?
But it would be unfair.
Because Ndegwa purports to know more than Charles Owino, and actually is abusing Charles Owino's knowledge. Yet, as a lawyer, I can tell you it is Ndegwa who does not know what he's talking about. So
Right,
could we allow other contributors to also do?
Let the the blood-based government supporters and sympathizers contribute.
No, I will not really. I think
Dibal,
reductive of you.
Dibal, give me a very short opportunity.
Yes, please. Can you respond?
Dibal, give me a very short opportunity.
Yeah, continue.
Hello.
Yeah, continue.
In that letter, the individuals who have given notice are 5. The 4 mothers and a brother. Those who lost their lives, they are the ones who have given notice. And they have given the notice through their advocate. And this notice is to notify police that there will be a procession. You know the magnitude of these processions, and you know what has, how much we have suffered in the past when we have situations where there are demonstrations in town. And that is why it is important that when a demonstration or a procession of that magnitude comes up, there is need for this, for the conveners, because the 5 are now the conveners. It is important for the conveners to have a discussion with the police. You don't need to write that in law. You don't write everything in the text. And when they meet, they discuss they agree. Because, for example, they didn't say point of assembly in that letter. They just said they'll start at 10, and they have said they'll go to various streets. So it must be agreed we are going to move in this manner from, let's say, Hari Thuku Road. If it will be agreed to the point of assembly, we will go to Moi Avenue. Then from Moi Avenue, we move to Kenyatta Avenue. Then from Kenyatta Avenue, we move to Harambe Avenue, present petition to the minister, then go to Parliament. And then after that, we conclude the procession. And that must be discussed. You don't need to write it. And it must only be discussed by the conveners of the meeting. I know there are many people hiding behind, but we are not going to deal with the people hiding behind. We'll deal with the conveners. Any other person who wants to join the procession is allowed to join the procession, but those are the conveners, and the law must be followed. Even if you call us broad blood, it doesn't matter. We all belong to this country. We have come from far as a country. We have no need to be tribal. Those who are tribal are primitive and they have no space. So what we are saying is that it is important that we follow the law. The duty of the police is only to protect everyone. And I've said rights have limits. There are no rights which come without limits. If you go to the Bill of Rights, the general limit is found under Article 24D, which says that when you enjoy your rights and freedoms, you need not to prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. And it must also come with responsibility. It must also come with some morals. So if you want to promote anarchy, you have no space. And if you try it, the police will deal with you. And that's the only way. And if you want to overthrow government, go to the bush and meet the military. There's no space for nonsense. People must agree as a country that this country is so important for all of us. There are children who want to go to school on Wednesday. There are people who want to open their shops on Wednesday. There are people who want to take their kids to hospital and many other activities. There are people traveling to this country which are coming for business. They don't know whether there is a demonstration. So those particular hours, there must be a procedure. The police must agree with the conveners so that we don't promote anarchy. And that is my position. And I'm saying this out of my experience, and it is important we just agree. Elections is coming after just 2 years. May the best man win.
All right. Thank you, Daktari. Professor Alfredo Gola, you wanted to ask something briefly?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Debal. I listened to my brother here, Charles Owino, and I think that Charles Owino is simply trying to say what is within the law, and of course the arguments here are not anywhere to go by, because if you want to professionally deliberate your point, you don't go to attack the person. You just focus on the point. Debal, I think that we want to continue in this platform next time. So let us not throw words. When we are coming here, let's come as Kenyans and remove the terms of broad-based, what. Let's just give your point. It doesn't matter where you are from. We know, or maybe we are wrongly thinking we know, but let's just come to deliberate our point professionally. I just want to say that I start with the point that is being deliberated with the issue of giving notice. You know, the Gen Zs, when they went to the street last time, I'm sure you'll say me, I'm not a Gen Z, but that's up to you. It's about Generation Zote now. I was on the street on 25th of June, but before that, I was there severally. I was even arrested by the police. I've been there in the cell, so that's the fact. But after that, even 25th of June, there was no notice because you cannot follow the direction of the oppressor on how to protest against them. It is against logic. So all those things that is being debated by people telling us how to do demonstration against them, I'm sure all of us go to court. You cannot go and say I'm a thief, but now prosecute me this way. No, we just use the law, and the law gives citizens even the chance to do it directly, indirectly, and the rest. So I believe that these women are simply speaking from what they feel. And I'm sure that the state can even with the whole all those conditions that they are talking about here and just allow them chance to do. And Debal, I was part of the people I've been talking about that people should have avoided going to the street on 25th of June. We had actually agreed that only the women, that is the mothers, the daughters, those women related to the family should just do a peaceful march to Parliament and give a petition and plant flowers where their children died because some of them were shot inside Parliament. We didn't want the muscles to go to the street. That actually Nerima can even tell you. But now, after what happened to Ojuang, what happened to Kamau, then the guys whom we had convinced not to go told us, excuse me, just step aside. We will now go because it's been provocative. The people have been provoked. And that's why you had even, I saw Sifuna stating something very interesting that when the policemen are not on the street and they've been lived out of the street, normally there's peace. Like they gave the example when Raila was sworn in Uhuru Park. Policemen were withdrawn. Nothing was stolen, nothing was destroyed, no stones thrown. It is the policeman who brings violence and the goons which have been hired. So the question I'm asking now, even if we allow these women to come to the street with this notice, are they safe? Are we going to lose another life? Of course, people plan for peaceful protest. But then what is the plan B? If there's no peaceful protest, what do you do? If you go to the street and find that you came peacefully, but there's no peace, and the policemen will cause that lack of peace in the street, what is plan B? Because as a strategist, we don't allow people just to jump thinking that I have one plan. You can come in with plan A, then you find it is plan B. What do you do? What if you come to the street and then things go wayward? Now we are not talking about plan A or plan B. There is loss of stability. And also remember, and I sympathize, a government always wants stability. There's no government that goes against stability. How will you handle that? So my second point on that thing of the street is that normally a state should have what is called monopoly of violence. What does that mean? The state should be so strong that no one should even imagine coming to the street to bring any violence. But now when the state gives up on that monopoly and brings up goons, that they are unable to contain the people, so they allow goons to help them, then the state has lost legitimacy. So all those things you are quoting for us, law and the rest, how do you quote law when there's no legitimacy of the state? The state has lost, as Wakil Ndegwa said, social contact with people. I hear my brother Sosion discussing how the president was elected based on economic policy. It was based on lies because they have never delivered anything of that. So you lose legitimacy, which is called social license to operate, when you cannot continue to do what makes you who you are. You cannot be a husband if you can't do what a husband is. You can't be a wife if you cannot do what a wife should do. You can't be a lawyer if you cannot be able to act like a lawyer. You lose legitimacy because social licenses cannot be stolen. Legal can be. You can steal a license and even rig election to become an MP. You can rig an election to become a president. So that the people are even doubting whether Ruto was actually elected. So you can go on and on, but those are things you can't defend. Let's just be honest. Is William Ruto delivering to healthcare, education? Is he ensuring national security? Is he ensuring rule of law? As according to me, Ruto has broken 18 chapters of the Constitution, all of them. So if a president has broken 18 chapters, why is he allowing citizens to comply? Why should citizens actually comply? And about what I'm talking about is not a theory. We have taken a petition to court under Kenya Bora Tuitakayo. It's in court record. So it's not a theoretical thing there. I'm not discussing things which cannot be proven. We went to court and proved that the president has broken 18 chapters of the Constitution, so should not rule. That is in court. It's in record, so we can offer that evidence. So I just want to say the following, that we cannot be here telling Kenyans to follow a path which is predetermined. And as I end, I know that some people come here to defend the government. I know Kaluma now speaks very differently from before they came into government. They are pushing for people, they have ranks from Luo Nyanza. And I want to tell Kaluma, like someone who comes from Luo Nyanza like you, ranks cannot be given at the expense of development and human rights. You can accept rank for a purpose. You cannot say, now you are in government. At what expense? Human rights. You can't even speak your mind as a Kenyan civil rights. I'm sure I used to like your comments before. Now we've lost you. The wavelengths are not the same. Maybe you change the station. Maybe the station I'm speaking from does not represent the real voice that you are. Kaluma, in your heart, as a human being, if you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll sympathize with the state of the nation. And you cannot defend it and tell us we are molting. Molting, that's why I bring a president. Let's go to fundamental, the root cause of the problem. That's when you can molt. We cannot molt with the theories and the rest. And I can be very sure that that is something we want to forget about. We cannot molt in this way. And just to end my conversation here, I'm sure that my brother Duncan told me I come from Mogenya, I cannot be family spokesperson. I just want to ask him if he wants the position. I am not looking for it. The family called me, given what I did. Where were you, Duncan, when the body was lying in city mortuary with no postmortem going on and the state is cheating people? I was there. I called the PS Healthcare. Johnson Oduor was my student in Strathmore. I told him, you can't do to this family. We even look for a doctor, Dr. Njeru. Where were you that time? And the family is not calling me because I come from Mugenya or I come from Homa Bay. They are calling me because of the fact that I was with them. Where were you when the IPOA called the family the whole day writing statement until 9 p.m.? Where were you, Duncan? I know you come close there, but where were you at that time? Where were you that day when the family had come, the wife of Ajuang had come from the village to view the body of the husband? And the city mortuary, the Chiromo says it is overtime. Where were you when I went there and sat with them and they agreed the family to view the body late in the night? Where were you? It's not about positions, about what you can do. You can be close to me, but you are too far from me in the heart. I don't want that position. You request them, they give it to you if you want. Let us just be able to look for how we can serve this family. And on the case of Eric Omondi, ask him to call me. Tell him if I have not called him. Tell him if I haven't asked him. Nerima, you are in the civil society. Call him and ask him that the family is looking for accountability.
Eric Omondi is not on the platform.
So, no, I know that, but I have tried. I'm saying to say now, let us reach out to him to answer the question. I even said here before, Debal, you can confirm, I said, I can't claim misappropriation. What I'm asking for is the family cannot track. And they have tried to reach out to him, they can't reach out to him. So any of you who are good, who are his friends, who defend him, just reach out to him and tell him to even call Debal if you can trust me and give Debal account on what is going on. The family tomorrow will be trying to reach out to Safaricom because they have to reach out to him. They can't get him. They reach out to Stancha to maybe give information. What I'm trying to say, you who know him, I'm sure, Mweshmua Kaluma, you're here, help the family. And it does not matter who helps. Whoever gets the help will be okay. It doesn't matter. Who gets credit.
Fred, we are helping the family. Stop personal aggrandizement with the situation of Ojuang. We've lost very many people in Homa Bay. You don't know how we help ourselves.
If you are helping
the way you are going, we may exclude you from that funeral.
No, it's
As
okay.
Bay people, we have the way we do things.
It is okay.
So don't take our silence for granted.
Order, guys.
Honorable Kaluma, I'm
Order,
sure
please.
you are out of order when you tell me you
Right.
can exclude him, but I'm not saying that I have to be there. I'm just trying to ask you. The question the family is asking is the accountability around the monies which have been collected. I'm just asking if there have been help is okay, but what I'm trying to say is they're asking questions. Just help them with those questions. I don't need credit for anything. I am not a funeral expert. I am not a funeral politician. I am not known because I preside over funerals. It is only who I am that I am. So let's just focus on the point the family is raising, and those are legitimate questions, Mheshimiwa. I respect you even after you say what you said, but let's focus on the issue of molting because we cannot accept half-baked solutions by simply saying Ruto has transformed the country. Democratic space has reduced, freedom has reduced, human rights have reduced, poverty index have grown. Those are not symptoms of molting. Those are symptoms actually of retrogressive regime. Thank you.
Okay, Benji, you wanted to say something? Then Dr. Orunga, just hang on, Dr. Orunga. My co-host has to
1 second, Captain Simiu. Dibal, mine will probably be the last comment for the evening. I'm getting so many messages here. It's been quite a good space. You know, for the record and for the space to maintain credibility and for even for us to maintain our own credibility and our names and reputations, etc. I just wanted to ask Mheshimiwa Kaluma a question. And that's probably my last input for the evening. Mheshimiwa Kaluma, didn't you actually, in Parliament as an MP, didn't you actually oppose the Finance Bill 2024? You know, sometimes, you know, for people who are analysts and they're watching and listening, you know, so what is actually, what do you guys actually believe in? Which I think is what Professor Fred is trying to ask. And I don't know you guys' history and I'm not from Nyanza, but a lot of things just don't add up. So I just wanted, as a matter of record, as a matter of fact, you know, some of us actually campaigned for President Ruto, you know, rightly or wrongly. But then you guys also who are kind of latecomers or who didn't even believe in bottom up, etc. You know, it gets confusing because I think you actually opposed the finance bill and you gave the reasons. What again has changed? That's it, and that's it for me. And Jennifer Shamala, I don't want to say much, but I just hope let us. We talked about sobriety at the beginning of the space, so I'll leave it at that. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate. I just wanted to, Honorable Kaluma, you'll answer that. Just take a mental note of that so that we may just really not go off the rails with the finance bill broadly, because we want to navigate on the June 25th, as it were. But that's a legitimate question from Benji Ndolo. And I think Nerima Wako also, there's, we'll come to you just momentarily. I wanted to come to Dr. Orunga Simiu. Lydia Mathe, just hang on. We'll also give you a mic because I think also the time is really spent. But I wanted to play this particular clip before you, Dr. Orunga, you come on. Because we've had also Dr. Charles Obino saying, you know, we should march peacefully that day. We have the routes also that are given where we should follow, laying of the wreath for the family. But listen to this, coming from a legislator.
Debala can't hear anything.
Yeah, Debala, I think the mic is something is off. It's all silent.
Yeah, it's mute. Hello.
Can we proceed?
Captain Simiyu Runga, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I want to be brief because one, I'm conflicted.
Thanks for your.
Because I remember when we were in school, when we were doing exams, we used to be told. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Simiyu, Captain, you have the floor. Dibala has dropped.
I don't need to play the rest of this because I was just playing. But you, Dr. Birunga, on this, when we hear such comments coming from a legislator, whipping up emotions and rallying the young people that, yes, you know, what we saw last week is just an iota of what could be, and whipping up the emotions of the Pokot men there, the young people. I mean, what does it really portend? You know, when we hear people that are supposed to give sobriety in some of this conversation, I think Honorable Kaluma has dropped. Yeah, but Dr. Werunga, you've heard that. You're a security expert. What do you think? Dr. Werunga, can you hear me? How are you speaking? Dr. Werunga, are you on? Yes.
Can you hear me?
You're unmuted. Continue.
Yes, I was saying, I don't want to go straight to the security aspect of this. And I think I've been speaking to this fact for some time. When you read what you wanted us to discuss about, and many people have tried to explain what is molting. You see, when you look at the nation in terms of molting, we want to look at it from where we were, where we are, where we are going. Molting is shedding. So we must look at it in terms of the totality of this country, shifting from one space to the next. What levels of development have we gone in terms of our legal status, our constitution, our politics, our security space? So sometimes when I listen to people speaking here, ni kama vile tulikuwa shule zamani unaambiwa, read the question carefully, understand before you start answering. I've had a lot of personal things, Debal, being discussed in this space. I've heard of things that are not really meant to be part of this space, and people are talking about it. That's why some of us are speaking at 10. Yet if we just stuck to the point of what you wanted us to discuss, we'll be very far from now. So let me come back to my area. One, Dr. Honorable Kaluma, you said the police have independent command. But what you forgot to say is that the minister under the law has 3 responsibilities. 1 is policy, 2, training, and 3, professionalism. Those are policy issues that the minister must provide to the police, even as they have independent command. You can only perform your duty if the policy that makes you be who you are is also giving you responsibilities to what you're supposed to do. So we cannot leave the political and the executive out of this because the law is also very clear, as you say, lawyers. So the minister must provide policy guidelines on how the police is supposed to operate in this country. The minister must give policy guidelines on the standards of training for the police. And the minister must give guidelines on how professional the police must be in this country. They don't operate from a vacuum. They are guided by laws, policies, and guidelines. So we cannot remove the minister from this. That's one thing I wanted to make it very clear, so that even as we speak, we are looking at molting. How far have we come in terms of police reforms, in terms of police performance, in terms of police service delivery to the Kenyan people? This must be looked at in totality. And one of the areas where the members of parliament come in, and Kaluma has been part of this for a long time, as a committee of the National Assembly in charge of national security and administration, you have the mandate under the law to audit, supervise, and hold the police to account. That you cannot run away from, Mheshimiwa Kaluma. So even as we speak about how the police are performing, how the police has moved, we have other elements in this country that are supposed to ensure that our police service performs to the best ability in the expectations of the Kenyan people under the Constitution and using the frameworks of the legal statutes in the country to ensure that they perform and they do their work well. So in terms of molting, where are we? I have been part of this game for a very long time. And every time we make a step moving forward, we take like 3-5 steps going backwards. What we are seeing the police doing now was never envisaged in what we are supposed to do in terms of progression of reforming or even transforming our police service. So therefore, from where I am, even as my friend Dr. Charles is saying, yes, we know the law says they are supposed to be informed. But police, for some reasons, keep on from time to time, and I'm not speaking about this current one, they have purported to have the powers to stop those things without giving any reasons why they are stopping it. And that's why we are speaking about molting. How are we shading the old bad systems to make sure that we have a police service that is people-centered and is democratically led by performing their duties? Are we there? I don't think we are there. Have we tried? Yes, we've tried as a nation. Are we ensuring that our police service is professionally trained to handle their jobs apart from what the Constitution and the law says? I think to me we have a problem there. Who is supposed to ensure, in a normal functioning democracy, who is supposed to ensure that the police do their work very well through accountability? That is members of parliament. And if our members of parliament do not see what most of us are seeing, then we have a problem, because we cannot go to the police directly under any law in this country and ask them to do ABCD. We use, like they say, use our people's representatives to ensure that they hold our police to account for what they're doing. So I was expecting that, Mheshimiwa Kaluma, apart from talking your politics, you should have spoken to us. What frameworks have you been trying to put in place for the 13 years and plus others who are still with you to ensure that the police perform and function in accordance with the law? That is another thing. Number two, I come to Professor Ogola. You said we cannot, if I'm not wrong, you cannot follow the law when the people who are supposed to be ABCD are not following the law. I think to me, that's not a very good thing from a professor, because one, you must, if you want good to be done, you must follow the law. Let those who break the law be held to account. But as a citizen, you must write a letter, and that's what the law says. Write a letter informing the police that this is what we want to do. Those people, like Charles said, will be the conveners, but it does not stop any other Kenyan to be part of that demonstration. It does not stop any other person to be part of what these people are agitating for. So yes, we have problems with our police, and I can tell you I've worked with them for a long time. 1 step, 5 steps back. But we must follow the law so that we also seen to be people who respect the law. Then lastly, Dibar, are we seeing any improvements in the police service? No, because even the systems that we created in the police service to assist the Kenyan people are not functioning to the levels which we expected. We have the National Police Service Commission, which was supposed to take the HR responsibilities for the National Police Service to ensure that promotions, transfers, deployments are given to the rightful people, people who are competent, and people who are suitable to those positions they are given. Is it doing the same? Of course not. Is the IG still working on posting people and deploying people without reference to the National Police Service Commission? Of course, that is the truth. So what has happened is the IG will do whatever they need to do. Then they inform the National Police Service to sanction what they've done. The law says the IG should send whatever he wants and his team to do to the National Police Service Commission. The National Police Service Commission will go through what needs to be done. Then they will sanction that list in accordance to their own understanding, then hand it over to the IG that this is what we've approved. Now you can announce promotions, transfers, deployments. So in terms of molting, are we heading anywhere? Zero. So look at all these things. We are looking at IPOA, we are looking at National Police Service Commission, we are looking at this, the establishment as, we have a problem, Debal, that's what I'm trying to say. And as long as we don't hold people to account, for as long as our MPs are not doing their job, sorry to say this, we shall always, within the security systems, have a major problem of ensuring that our police are reformed, our police are transformed, and because this is all about governance of a national security system. If you don't get it right, you can never move anywhere. So we shall continue doing this until cows come home, until our MPs realize that they are not doing this for the government of the day, they are doing this for the nation. And once they jump that space from what they are thinking about now, what they're discussing about now, and do it for the nation, that is when Kenya will start molting properly to what we want to do and what we want to have in terms of our national security architecture. I think that is my small speech.
Thank you, Daktari. We need to close. I'm given to understand also the clip that I played, no one had it. So I want to replay it. But I think you've had it from the social media where we had William Kamkate, rallying up the people of Pokot to come, as goons, that what we saw happening this last week, that is just an iota. I don't know if you had this and you can speak to it as well. Just briefly, we want to bring it close.
Yes, I did. I watched it actually, not now, but I had watched it in another social media space. And I can tell you this, one of the reasons why I'm saying we need to have molting in terms of our national security professionalism is to have those kind of fellows who speak in public, who speak through the media, and nothing happens to them. There's this other fellow, I think from Korogocho or something, some MCA, who was also talking the same thing. Dibal, if the country does not respect the rule of law, if the people who are holding positions of leadership, I never call them leaders, and unfortunately I don't, but they hold positions of leadership at whatever level, cannot respect and are there to the rule of law, this country will never move. Who is supposed to do that? One, it is our MPs to ensure that statutes are put in place to ensure that whoever does anything that is against the law, the amendments are made so that those kind of characters are taken care of by the law. The MPs are supposed to ensure that NCIC is given serious mandate to do their work and put people who are competent to run NCIC. Put people who are competent to run the National Police Service Commission. Ensure that the people who are holding positions in our National Police Service have the capacity to make independent decisions without waiting to be given directions.
Thank you very much. Because of interest of time, let me just give the floor also to Lydia Mathia. Then we will just open the plenary for some questions. I can see a lot of requests as well. Lydia, good evening. Let's hear your voice as well. I think Nerima has dropped. Wanted to also to just get a perspective of Nerima as well. I think we've gone way beyond time. Lydia, good evening.
Good evening, Debal. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll try to be very, very quick. 2 points. One is that it feels to me as though we have a convergence of thought, but for some strange reason, we are still caught up in a crisis. Everybody agrees, I think everybody agrees that there is a right to human life. Everybody agrees that there is a right to protect property. Everybody agrees to the right to picket and protest. But for some strange reason, the how of how each of us are doing things from where we are is creating this entire conflict. So you've got the Gen Zs who have a right to speak, and we acknowledge that right to be heard. But I think how it's, they're going about it, puts, some question marks in terms of how do we want to run this country. The police everybody agrees they have the mandate, right, to protect life and property. But the how of how it's being done again is creating a crisis. So, the business community have a right to protect their, their shops and their wares, but how again it's being done is becoming a crisis. So I think if you can just go back to the what is it that we agree on as a people, we can find a path forward where everything is respected. And so my second point, Debal, I'd like to reflect on my own experience as a young person when we were coming up in the youth movement, and we were agitating for the new for clauses in the new constitution that acknowledge young people. We were fighting for the creation of the National Youth Council that time. Those of you who might know the organization called the Youth Agenda. And I remember very clearly that we would organize protests, we would alert the police, we would be on the streets from morning at 8 to evening at 6, and we would have armed escort, we would have police vehicles, we would move all the way from Gong Road, come down Valley Road, get into Kenyatta Avenue, go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports at Kencom, make our point, and at 6, the police command would say, the time is up now, please let us now disperse, and we would disperse. And if we were not happy, we would return, and we did so many of these demonstrations. So what is bothering my mind in terms of this evolution, how is it possible that we are unable to have those kinds of peaceful protests now? What is going wrong with how it's being done now that is creating this entire crisis? And I think if we can go back and check what is everybody doing wrong? What are the police doing wrong? What are the young people doing wrong? What are the organizers doing wrong? Because it is possible, Debar, to have peaceful protests. I have experienced them. I went through many of them in my years as an activist, and they were all peaceful. In fact, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch a nice, peaceful demonstration. And all these people coming out to make their voices heard about an issue. I've experienced it. The pictures are there. We can go back to history and we can check. So what is it about these current protests that are creating such a crisis for Kenya? Because protesting is not a big deal. And I want to agree with Mr. Owino. You need to alert the police. The organizers need to take responsibility. They need to go and sit down with the OCS or whoever is commanding, the security operation, and have convergence that we will convene, at whatever place. We will move in this direction. We will start at this time. We will finish at this time. And so everybody is completely aware of what is expected and how things are supposed to run. And anything happening outside the realm of that agreement then is known to be not part of it. So it is then very easy to identify the infiltrators. It is very easy then to identify the goons. And if you are planning a protest, why would it be a legitimate protest that is peaceful and unarmed? You should not have a problem disclosing yourself to the police and making arrangements together with the police for logistical and security reasons. So I think the ball in terms of molting, I feel like we've gone backwards instead of forward, because we who are now have aged out of the youth bracket, we do remember doing these protests peacefully under armed escort of the police. And this is the same police force. It is the same police who are currently, serving. It's not many years ago. It's maybe 10 years. It's within the same decade. So what is going wrong, Debal? And I think if we are honest with ourselves, then we need to acknowledge that perhaps the organizers need to take more responsibility. And we just need to fall back to the margins of the rule of law. And we accept that all of us must just act within the law, so that it is then easy to identify who is acting outside and then hold them responsible. But if we do not allow, if we don't submit ourselves to the rule of law, then ourselves and the ones who are doing it deliberately to break the law, then it's not easy to identify the difference. Yeah, it's not easy to identify the difference. And I think it is best that we recall that history and revisit the best versions of ourselves, because we have lived that reality and we can recreate it. Thank you, Debat.
Thank you, Lydia. Quite clear. And yes, that's a probing question that is being expressed there by Lydia. What is so big about the protest and that it can create such a crisis? Is it also the infiltrations of the goons? Because ideally, we've seen the protest from the beginning go very peaceful, but the goons, wherever they're coming from, and the way it's been told that these are government-sponsored goons, and it's been highlighted from media as well. That will be a point of concern. And I want just to, of course, we shall give our closing remarks momentarily, then we get some questions. But Charles Owino, I want you just to briefly, I think lots of questions have been raised regarding that, the routes, what the article in the Constitution is saying. But William Kamkate cannot just go off the hook so easily like that. I expected the national cohesion and that is a national cohesion, NCIC, an integration commission, national cohesion. I forget it. It's not really tripping off my tongue very easily, but you understand NCIC as it is. They should have issued a statement by now. I think that is very inflammatory. Briefly, before I come to you, Fred Ogola, then we get to hear from the plenary. Just briefly, we want to wind up. Dr. Charles Owino, kindly remember to unmute. Charles Owino, you kindly unmute. Oops, I think he's dropped off trying to. So we'll get back to that. All right, can I just give, I can see your hand, Fred Ogola, briefly. We'll be clocking out on Honorable Kaluma as well, briefly. Fred, you wanted to say something?
Professor Fred mine Ogola. Is just, mine is to thank the other speaker. I can see, I've forgotten his name, but it's SW. Yeah, you said we should...
Dr. Warunga Simiyu.
Dr. Warunga Simiyu, yeah. So I agree with you that we should always follow the law, but always people want to discredit people by saying a professor cannot say such a thing. But the context is important. Text cannot make sense if it's not in context. My context was that if you're dealing with a violator who is violating every law of yours and you want to deal with them within the law, you can't succeed. That's what I call molting. In fact, for the Constitution to be amended, Article 2, Section 224A to be amended, there must be somebody who went outside the normal. So even for Gen Z protest to work, people had to go across the edge. So I'm just trying to say that I don't believe that people should be lawless. In fact, I am very law-abiding. All my meetings have gone to the thing, but I'm talking about the young people who are out there who don't even care. Like the day of 25th, they went without that. I'm trying to say that we can assume a peaceful protest. We need to come on plan B and plan C. Let us not just a small moment to try to say somebody, even if I say what, I remain a professor and I cannot be declared one in this space. I think mine was more books, and I don't have experience in space. So just forgive my own thinking. I was just trying to say, let's look for how we can deal with a government that is completely unlawfully trying to disqualify things. Like according to the Public Order Act, you should give, no, don't need permission. So when they say we don't agree with it, then already they are breaking the law thing, because you are not unlawfully unconstitutionally or illegally protected law, then actually the one who is illegal. So we saw last time they were legally protected rights of Kenyans. So when you illegalize legally protected rights, then you begin by breaking the law. Then other people just have to go on their knees and accept that now we can't go against the law because this one has. So I'm sure that's what I'm bringing as contention. But my main point now is simply that, Debal, for us to molt and agree with Lydia, that there must be certain things we must leave this space by saying we agree on the following: that human life is actually divine, and that at no circumstances it should be violated. And then how can we protect this using the force of the state and also the discipline of the society? I agree with Charles Owino also that there must be certain things must be done a certain way. But then the question is, when we follow the order, do the other people also follow the order? So if you cannot allow only one side of the game keeping the rules. In football, you can't allow one team keeping the rules of football, the other one is breaking, and the match takes place. Everybody must play according to the rule.
Thank you.
And that helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Because of time, we need just to bat in so that we can also give the floor to one or two questions or three. I can see lots of them. I want just to hand over the mic to Dr. Charles Owino, I think you dropped out and we'd ask the question so that you can respond to it. I mentioned Kamket, and if we've said you've given those routes, and we have legislators who are also saying they will send goons to those routes, then what? You see, this is where now it becomes extremely difficult to say this is a peaceful process, and yet we have legislators speaking in that manner, very inflammatory, so to speak.
So, Dibal, can you hear me?
Very crisply, yes.
Oh, thank you. I think I don't have much to comment on the role of national cohesion, but it would be very important that they take their responsibility as required. But many people, it's a precedent that has been set. Many politicians have made such inflammatory statements and they have gone away with it. So unless law enforcers take it upon themselves to ensure that such statements are punished, then it would be impossible to manage politicians on such lines or any other Kenyans. And that is why you see even issues of discipline. We have people don't respect ways which have been put in for purposes of agitations. And you can see people reading the law on one side. Everybody just tells you, I have a right to do this, I have a right to do this. But nobody wants to talk about the limits of those rights that they enjoy. And it is very basic that as you enjoy your rights and fundamental freedoms, it is important that you don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. It's a common thing that if we understand, then it will be very easy. So it's not good to politicize everything that we do every day. And it is also important to note that under political competition, we need to look at our country in the holistic nature that we need this country. If you ban this country, even if you form the next government, it will be very expensive for you to work, and you'll still face the same problems and even worse, more problems than the sitting presidents will face, because issues of unemployment, issues of managing our economy can only be done if we do things in the right way. And as I've said before, it is important to note that we have a very vibrant constitution, and every 5 years we go to elections. Let Kenyans organize themselves. Let us look for alternative methods of managing some of the problems that we have, instead of thinking of putting ourselves in situations that are very difficult to reverse, especially if we fight unnecessarily and we don't follow the law. So I would just take it that if all of us can follow the rule of law, then we are bound to do well. And also, most importantly, it's good to note that even if you're a bishop, I've always said that it doesn't matter. If it does not mean that you cannot give birth to a robber or a thief, and then people will not say, "Oh, now you cannot preach to us because your own son is a robber." No, those are different roles and those are different people. So it's important that we also think of the best way of managing our systems. I heard what Dr. Captain Murunga had said about my friend, about procedures, about institutions, about things that are not going on well. Sometimes some of them are beyond our reach, and that is why it is important that we keep on pointing out where there are mistakes, but at the end of the day, let us follow the rule of law.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, let's just give the floor to the plenary. Esther Nyonje, you first up briefly before brevities of essence, kindly.
Brevities of essence, kindly.
Thank you, Dibal. My point is actually directed to Duncan Ojwang, who kept on saying that there are late bloomers coming into this space and they don't understand the history of the country. I'd like to correct that by saying Kenya it's a democratic country, and each one of us has a right to agitate their issues when they want to, regardless of whatever point you're getting into. And I'd like to put it out that by the time people are protesting in the streets, it means that it's a reflection of poor leadership, because people have better things to do than to protest. So protests are becoming more than street noise. They're becoming tools for reforms, for accountability, and for people power. And protests have yielded results, going back to repealing of Section 2 of the Constitution, promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, just because of the protests. And just to note also, because of the last year's Gen Z protests, the government freed up 51.95 billion from its day-to-day expenses, such as office supplies, transportation, fuel, travel, repairs, and the confidential budgets and office of the first and second lady, a 6.91 drop. So we cannot talk about this, that these protests are just noise, that these protests don't yield any results. We should stop demonizing protests and look at it as a way of adhering to the constitution and people practicing their rights. And also, we should also talk about training of these police officers, because if it is not for these police officers, no one dies in the streets. We have to be clear about that. Even if it is someone who is going to the streets and making the police officers agitated, the law is clear, Article 47, 48, 49, and Article 50. So we should stress on training of these police officers in regards of human rights, community engagement, de-escalation. We should talk about higher grades for these police officers when they get into service so that they're knowledgeable about the law, and remuneration also needs to come from the consolidated fund like the judiciary so that you can also depoliticize the police service. So I have much to say, but I'm going to leave it from that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Let me also give the mic to Captain Mohammed. Captain Mohammed, kindly unmute briefly. Captain Mohammed.
Yes, Debal. First question I want to ask is that we are citizens of this country, if the police who are supposed to protect the life of the citizens are now killing the innocent citizens on the street on the day broad light, then what confidence do we have in this government of Kenya Kwanza? Number two, I want to ask Kaloma, as the legislature who made the law, how do you see such violation of human rights, and what are the parliament is supposed to do on such things? Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Captain. We really do appreciate the brevity of that. Question, Honorable Evans Momanyi. If you kindly unmute, if you can hear me. Evans Momanyi, kindly unmute if you can hear me. Evans Momanyi, are you speaking? Kindly, if you request for an opportunity to speak, will be nice also. If you can look at the interest of time, because we're really pinched for time, as we can see, the clock is, ticking down on us. We need to wind up. All right. Let me just also give the mic to Chief Nu. I saw your comment. Chief Nu, you want to say something briefly? Chief Nu. Chief Nu. I hope that is how you spelled it. Chief Nu. Yes, we can see you. Kindly unmute and express your frustration. I saw it on the timeline. Continue.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to express myself. Well, yeah, I'm a Gen Z and I've been listening to your sentiments. What I will say is, while we appreciate what you are saying, this revolution belongs to us. It is us who will decide how we run it, how we come to the street, where we go, the directions, and everything. So I say majority of where you are writing off other people, lawyer Ndewa was speaking, and some of you are writing him off. That is wrong. Yeah, so this is our revolution. It belongs to us. If people from other generations you want to join us, well and good. But we move in one direction against this government, against bad governance, against corruption, against impunity, against police brutality, and all vices that those in the government are unleashing on us, the people of Kenya. And we, the people, shall. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right, Chief Nu, we've heard you. Thank you so much. I think I'll just get the last two questions so that we can bring this to a close as well. We want to keep you here for quite a while. Oyo Daktari and Sheila Nyangara, the mic is coming to you. I've marked you up. Kindly, if you have, and also Academia UON, then just keep it brief. So let's begin with you. Where are you? Have you got to the mic? Or if you're here, kindly make it snappy so that we can finish up. If you have the mic already.
I'm also here at Diba.
Oh yes, I'll give you a moment to respond to what Chief Nu was saying, so that we can also wind up. Kindly, if I've mentioned you and you have the mic, continue your pace, so that we can wind up. All right. In the meantime, if no one is responding, we can. There was Chief Nu who challenged you, Dr. Duncan Ojwang. Would you want to respond to that briefly?
Yes, Chief Nur was talking about the right to picket.
Yes, that yeah, we should not just light them off the way also Ndegwa has. No, is it Ndegwa? But I thought it was pointedly to you.
Yeah, no, it was, but maybe this country, the BAL, has improved because of dissent. People who have stood against the law, even sometime without the law, to stand up for some rights. So that is a clear history that we share. When we say this country has a history, it's not a bad thing. It's a very glorious history that those who stood, the likes of Honorable Raila, it was with or without the law to fight for this space, and law has caught up later. And so I'm very aware of that. But I think that however much we forget, there is no liberty without law, because it is law that regulates and it is law that protects that liberty. And that is why there is now even serious conversation on how to moderate the right to picket so that it does not become riot. You know that even armed conflict is moderated, that you have to distinguish between civilian and non-civilian, between civilian objects and military objective, between avoid unnecessary human suffering during armed conflict, and avoid surplus or supplage, pain, and only do what is necessary to reach a military object. So if we as a country now, after 15 years, and I'm a practitioner of human rights, I see a place for protest, for picketing, but we also see a place where the airport are blocked, access to airport. The roads are blocked. The neighborhoods are turned to war zones, and children in Madare and Kibera cannot go to school, while those in Runda still go to school. Pregnant women cannot access the hospital because the roads are blocked and the hospital parts are closed. People who want to go to those government officials cannot, because they are cordoned by a crowd for more than 24 hours. That important infrastructural facilities are threatened or accessed willy-nilly. For example, part of law is common sense, as Owino is saying. If we have, for example, 6,000 protesters show up tomorrow, I mean, police will have to know so that they wanaweza kujipanga. And in that sense, whatever we say, law is to bring order. In fact, the word law and order has become synonymous. And so when we see chaos, we see economic destruction, we see airport access being blocked, we see highway being blocked, and we talk of the right, then you can see that it's clearly able to slip into not just picketing, but to demonstration and riots. and where is the balance. So there's a place for legislature, and I'm seeing good legislature here like Opondo Kaluma and whatever, to gently guide this right so that it can do for us what it can do, but also ultimately to respect what other Kenyans are doing. For example, instead of shouting in the street, some people grew up being told street is not good for people, street is not good for a child, street is not good for a girl, and therefore they have joined broad-based government, and they're articulating their ways through that way. That should be something we praise, because ultimately, this country is a model, not because we don't have problems, but because after every election, this thing that we call people come together and say, you know what, let us work along our issues, whether it's in broad-based government. That is the innovation, and that is the secret that Kenya has brought, that the miracle is when God brings the so-called warring factors, warring people to be brothers and sisters. Even America does not have that. And that is not something to vindicate. And so the heroes, yes, hit the street, but hit the street with understanding that there is law and order, and there is no liberty without law. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you.
Thank you very much for gently guiding us too. And thank you for your time and this space, and for every speaker. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you. Fred Obachi, you have a question, your contribution briefly. Yield the mic to you, and then we shall have Oyo as well, and then we get closing remarks from our panelists.
Yes, Dibali. My name is Engineer Fred Ombachi. I think it will not take so much time discussing about the process of acquiring the approvals for the protests. And I want to remind Chelsea Owino that when you are talking about limits, we understand freedoms comes with limits. But the most fundamental question is, where are the people going to the streets? It's because the systems are not working. I'm telling you that you are telling us that we have the best constitution. That is correct. But let me tell you, as an engineer, if you design a product and you give it the wrong use, that product is not going to work. And therefore, we cannot write off the Gen Z. These are the people of the future. These are our children. And therefore, letting them off today will not work. And I want to respond to Kaluma, Honorable Kaluma. Kaluma has been spewing tribal epithets on his timeline. And he's saying that, and he's actually talking about communities. I don't know, it is the first time the Luo community has been a finance minister. You know, that's not what we are talking about. Anyone, even a Somali or a Noguer, can be a finance minister as long as the systems are working. What we need is the systems that are working. And this old generation letting off this current generation is a waste of time. It's not going to work. Let's listen to these guys. These young people are raising genuine and legitimate concerns. Thank you, Debal, and thank you for those who have joined us for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Engineer Fred. We really do appreciate. Oyo, over to you briefly. Oyo, kindly remember to unmute. Calling on Oyo 1, calling on Oyo 2, calling on Oyo 3. All right. Thank you so much. Guys, we need to wind up. And we want just to get closing remarks as well and reactions to some of the sentiments that Fred Obachi have raised, Mr. Nyonje as well, amongst others. We have also Captain Mohammed as well, Chief Nu. Let me begin with you, Ndegwa. Right, just to respond, I can see some of our panelists also have dropped like Fred Ogola. But yes, now the day is approaching, and we've heard from Charles as well, giving us assurance that it's going to be a peaceful protest. But also, on the other hand, we hear sentiments about, you know, it's people sending goons from one of his legislators. Briefly, over to you, Ndegwa. Are you speaking, Ndegwa? I can't hear you. Ndegwa Njiru? Ndegwa? All right, it seems Ndegwa is having some technical challenges there. Honorable Peter Kaluma, can you speak? Peter Kaluma.
Dibal.
Yes.
Yeah, very many issues have been raised. Huh? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Continue.
Yeah, so I'm of course traveling. I was moving to the airport, but I kept tab on the issues which were being raised. And let me start by thanking you for the firmness with which you continue to preside over this platform and the deliberate good choice of topic and the panel you always bring. I think we may disagree. I get to know much more than at the start. So let me start by first just responding to a few issues. Then I offer a solution and yield back. Number one, Honorable Mbadi is a sober, is not a Luo. And so anybody who thinks that I'm supporting the broad-based government because Honorable Mbadi is a Luo does not understand it. I support broad-based government because it brings inclusivity, which is a requirement of our constitution. If you read the architecture of public service, which the constitution requires, more so Article 232. When you constitute public service, there must be the face of the nation, and everybody must be across there. And to that extent, I'm very happy with the broad-based arrangement where we have Kenyans from all diversity now getting their due spaces. Werunga also had spoken to the matter which I addressed, which you remember was that the president, if you look at Article 131 of the Constitution, is the commander-in-chief of the Kenya Defense Forces. And the Kenya Defense Forces are the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. Our people, I was emphasizing, have not understood that the police is not part of our defense forces, unlike before. Our police is now a service. And when you look at Article 245 of the Constitution, you are told that they are under the independent command of the Inspector General and that nobody shall direct the police except the CS strictly on matters policy, not in terms of operations. And so when you hear a person blame every misdemeanor, every felony, every mistake, big or small, by an individual police officer on the president, you know you are faced with a person playing politics, not a person seeking accountability. And what I was urging is that we seek accountability. And Ibal, we have those institutions expert Werunga has spoken to. It is not true that we can deny that there has been progress by way of police reforms. There is a lot of reforms. Let us talk about the progress in reforms while alive to the fact that these police officers are Kenyans. These are people who are our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers. And as I told you last time, some of these police officers hurt so much when there is malfeasance on the part of any officer, like the one of Ojwang and the several others which have been dealt with. So let us not blame the police wholesome. In fact, the majority of police officers are very good Kenyans who want a better country. We just have a few whose, misconduct or mistakes must be punished and sanctioned in law without, of course, fear or favor. Now, back to the topic. I was asked what changed by Benji, and Dibal allow me to respond to this, because if I don't, as your co-anchor, I may be excluded in future. And I don't want to be excluded from the forum. Huh? We opposed the finance bill, and we opposed it with reasons to the end. The Gen Z effort was not isolated. It came from our initial, interventions by the way of cost of living protest in 2023. We had a problem when the good and well-meant Gen Z movement was infiltrated and captured beyond matters the finance bill. And you remember the day we had our last vote, some of us sought to join Gen Z. We were chased away, and then there was Occupy Parliament. After Parliament, people were to occupy State House. You go asking, where do this, now come from? So the fact of the matter is that the Gen Z that we are talking about now is a Gen Z which was infiltrated by some politicians, and they continue, pushing that extraneous agenda which originally was not conceived. And that is the extent to which I disagreed. When you now say you want to move from finance bill, which has been withdrawn by the president, and the withdrawal has been effected by parliament, to now a change of government other than through elections, you can be sure, as a rule of law mind, I will not be with you. What is our challenge in terms of molting, if I were to conclude, Ibal? Number one, we have a problem with our software. A nation is a nation when people equally own the resources of the nation and equally share in them. We've not achieved this since independence. Our politics is based on personality. Our politics is based on, our ethnic, origins and orientations, and that affects and blurs, our thinking on matters which should very easily bring us together. And so long as we move that way, there is a challenge. The last issue in terms of our software, which we should address, is that we have a beautiful, chapter on the Bill of Rights. But with rights, you have responsibilities. When you go shouting rights, 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 first, I was among the people who joined Professor Kivuta Kibwana, Davinda Lamba, Willie Mutunga in fighting for the Constitution. And when we were demonstrating, panelists, it was very clear. We were saying no reform, no elections. No constitutional framework that is new, no election. So there was a clear end. When you look at how we are using the right to demonstrate, which is a right today, we are using it to disable normal government operations. We are using it to disable normal activities and enterprises. Schools close. Judges do not go to court. Public servants do not go to court. On a day we call demonstrations. And you have people saying, we will demonstrate wherever, howsoever, in whatever manner we want. If you go even to London, go any day, Dibal. The demonstration area is around Trafalgar Square. And you just go demonstrate. You get so many demonstrations so long as you are doing your thing within a time you leave, because you are not the only one who has a right to demonstrate also. But people want to demonstrate. And I stated, and I end by stating now, that the biggest problem we have is that the constitutional freedom to demonstrate for rights has been turned into an enterprise by individuals beyond the demonstrators. Look at even people saying Gen Z should go to the streets on Wednesday. Will their children be there? I had my children in the last demonstration, but let me end by saying they will not appear on the Wednesday one, and I would not encourage anybody whose child I know to allow their children to go there, because these are anarchists preaching for something that is not good for the nation. But most importantly, let us think of how Ghana, a competing democracy in our country, is being run. And remember, Jennifer Shamala mentioned Nigeria next there. But a good example of democracy is in Ghana. In Ghana, we have a council of elders running the government, even deciding who should be ministers. In some cases, who should be in critical government institutions. In Kenya, we have laws which even safeguard people who have, headed organs of government. But when you see what they say, what they do, you ask yourself, if Kenya were to plunge into a crisis, who are these people we can call to speak to the soul of the nation, to the conscience of the nation for direction? I think we need to, think about some of those issues as we rectify our software and as we move forward, as we normally do for a stable country. So the problem is in the software. The problem is in our saying we can have rights without responsibilities. We do whatever we want to do. The problem is in our exclusive ethnic politics, which says if we vote for so-and-so, they must avail the resources of the nation to us to the exclusion of all Kenyans. And if we can address those things which have been addressed in all our laws, we would be good to go. I thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kaluma. And yes, just a rallying call that you were calling for responsible protesting, but also your children will not be here for the taking part in this particular protest. You think is uncalled for. Yes, so we hope that we'll have a peaceful protest at the end of the day, if of course we've seen the letters have gone ahead. And so I want just to also give this particular mic to who is yeah, Ndegwa, last time we could not just hear you. Are you able to just give your closing remarks as well? Ndegwa Njiru. Ndegwa, can you hear me, Ndegwa? Kindly unmute. Ndegwa.
Yes, I am here, Dibal. I lost you.
Yes. Please could
I was
continue,
just
please.
about to give my closing remarks. I can say and thank the panelists for the able submissions and assure our people that we shall continue to exercise our rights under Article 37 without limitations, and that exercising our rights under Article 37 does not mean that we are violating or infringing on any other person's rights. The rights enshrined under Article 37 shall be and will be observed by the people of Kenya in a manner that respects every other person.
You've dropped. Can you hear me? Ndegwa? Alrighty, I think Ndegwa has dropped. He's gone off the grid again. So I would want to just give this opportunity because of time. I think it's 11 o'clock to Dr. Warunga Simiu to give your closing remarks, and also Dr. Charles Owino. Let me begin with you, Dr. Warunga Simiu, if you can hear me briefly. Dr. Warunga Simiu.
Yes, Debal. I don't think I have anything to say. At the end of the day, we all want good things for ourselves. We want space to exercise our rights. And I think as we proceed, there's a gentleman who spoke about their time. I don't think anybody said anything wrong about what they need to do. They have a right to go for what they want. What we are just saying is that we want the government and the security systems and the legal establishments to allow Kenyans to exercise their peace and space without necessarily infringing on their rights. But at the same time, I think we want also Kenyans, even as we think these institutions are not observing the law, to operate within the law so that if we want to take legal steps, then we have a basis upon which we can do that. I think that is my way. And as we mold, I think it's important that we move from a known space to the unknown. But even as we move to the unknown, we need to use procedures that are basically legal within our rights and to ensure that we achieve what we want without necessarily breaking down what has already been put in place. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Warunga Simiu. We really do appreciate your sentiments this evening. So let's move to the place that is known, from none to, or is it not unknown to none? Thank you so much. Let's hear from Dr. Charles Owino. Your closing remarks, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Dibal. I just want to say that all the rights shall be exercised accordingly, but we must still understand that rights come with limits. I've heard someone say there are low limits to exercising Article 37. The limits are there. So as you will enjoy your freedoms and the fundamental rights, ensure that you don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. Let children go to school. Let those going to hospital go to hospital. Those who want to open their businesses as you agitate. I also heard some young man say that they cannot be told what to do. They'll do it the way they want it. You can only do that at your own risk because the law enforcement agencies are there to ensure that rights of each and every individual is protected. And if you prejudice rights and freedoms of others, then you should be ready to face the full force of the law and you'll not have anybody to blame. And we must agree that Let us enjoy our rights, let us enjoy our freedoms, but equally, let us ensure that we be obedient to the rule of law all the time. We need this country, we need our country to be intact. We need to make political changes legally within the constitution. And I don't think we have reached such a level. I think we have just been lucky as a country that we have the biggest freedom and space basically in Africa that you can get in terms of freedoms. And I think people are exercising their freedoms. But let us get to know our limits. If we don't do that, then we are bound to keep on having conflicts and we'll keep on having people suffering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Really, we do appreciate. Let's know our limits where we don't really overplay our hands. And as much as we have that particular space, let it not just be of lamentation and about Jeremiahing, about political dysfunction of our country, which is a good space to do it, but let's just also do it responsibly, as of course the provisions of our acts have provided. Thank you so much, everyone. I really do appreciate you being amazingly patient this evening. As always, I want to say thank you so much. We end up by saying the mantra: in essentials, unity; in non-essentials, unity of in clarity. We really do appreciate your participation this evening, even as we're headed to of course, June 25th. I know there are bugbears and fears. Let us just do it responsibly for the sake of this country. I really do appreciate you joining in this evening. Thank you. On behalf also of Benjamin Dollar, I want to express my gratitude to you. May you have a lovely night, a restorative night, and a good week ahead. May God bless.